Steve here in the Phantom History House Ouija board room, and what better location to discuss the history of the actual Ouija board and where it came from. And yes, when you stay in our Phantom History House Ouija board room, you get a complimentary Ouija board for your very own to play with during your stay. But where did this iconic board game come from? Well, most people credit this guy. This is William Fuld, and it is his name, after all, that appeared on the iconic Ouija board box for years and years and years. But he is not the inventor. Many credit this guy, Elijah Bond, since he was the first one to patent the Ouija board back in February of 1891. In fact, there's a Ouija board stone at his grave now commemorating his patent and the influence and the popularity of the game in the 1900s. But forms of the game date back even further than the 1890s. Talking boards first appeared in the US around 1880 and even earlier than that in Europe. The earliest known patent for the talking board, as it was called, was filed in January 1854 in London. This patent described the board as a psychograph or apparatus for indicating persons' thoughts by the agent of nervous electricity. No mentions of spirits or the dead at all. Back in the 1890s, and the Ouija board we know today, Elijah Bond's patent was assigned to the founders of the Cunard Novelty Company. Charles Cunard and William H.A. Maupin trademarked the word Ouija on February 3rd, 1891. Interestingly, the word Ouija really didn't exist before this. The woman credited with the word is medium Helen Peters, a medium who just so happened to be Elijah Bond's sister-in-law. She asked the spirit board one night in 1890 what it should be called, and the planchette allegedly spelled out Ouija. According to Helen, the board told her that the word meant good luck. The word that became one with divination came to Helen in a Baltimore, Maryland building that is now occupied by a convenience store. There's actually a plaque inside commemorating the coining of the word Ouija. Soon after, William Fuld took his production of the Ouija board and hence became known as the father and promoter of the Ouija board. Hollywood has made a big scary deal out of the Ouija board, but there are very few reports of the Ouija board actually causing anybody any harm. However, there are two mysterious circumstances surrounding the creation of this game. It's said that Helen Peters wanted nothing to do with the Ouija board early on because she said it did harm to her family. It is said that when some Civil War heirlooms went missing from her home, she asked the board who was responsible for the theft. When indicated the theft was done by a member of the family experienced its own Civil War and was literally split in two. The conflict was never resolved, and Helen blamed the board and even called it a liar. Years later, and after achieving amazing success with the Ouija board, Fuld's life came to a sudden end on February 24, 1927. While overseeing the replacement of a flagpole, the iron support he was leaning on gave way, and Fuld fell from the roof of his three-story factory. He did manage to grab onto a window for a short time, but then tumbled to the ground, where he suffered a concussion, fractured ribs, a fractured leg, a broken arm, and numerous cuts and bruises. He was rushed to the hospital by a witness, but he did die after a broken rib pierced his heart. Before he did die, though, on his deathbed, he asked his children to promise to never sell the Ouija board again. Eventually, they stuck to that promise, and Fuld's business and the Ouija board were sold to Parker Brothers on February 24, 1966. That just so happened to be the exact anniversary, 39 years later, from Fuld's death. So, come to Phantom History House, check out our Ouija board themed room. Now you know a little bit of background about the iconic game, and, check it out for yourself. William Fuld's name is right here on the front. See you here soon.